You know, the whole Twilight movie franchise has grossed over $3 billion since it first hit the scene. Wow. People people love them vampires and zombie movies, man. I tell you. Now, most of y'all probably know this actor Gregory Tyree Boyce from the 2008 movie Twilight as Tyler Crawley, playing alongside Kirsten Stewart, Taylor Lautner, and Robert Pattinson. Now, in the movie, right, he was the one who almost crashed his van into Bella before Edward stopped it with his bare hands. And after that movie, though, after the Twilight movie, he really never, Gregory really never starred in anything else as big as the movie Twilight. I mean, he did appear in a short film called Apocalypse, but that was back in 2018. But it wasn't like Twilight. But see, on May 13th, 2020, Gregory Tyree Boyce was found dead alongside his girlfriend Natalie in his condo in Las Vegas. Now, the story goes, now see, Gregory's cousin, who was also his roommate, now for the last couple of days, right, his cousin was working the night shift on his job, and he woken up in the afternoon on that day and saw that Gregory's bedroom door was closed. And he really didn't think nothing of it because his door is always closed. So he thought they were going out of the apartment, whatever. So he left and went to work. But when he got off of work, he noticed that Greg's car was still at the house, which made him worry because he knew Gregory was supposed to be in LA. That's when he went to check on him, and he knocked on the bedroom door and nobody responded. So he forced his way into the room, and that's when he found his cousin Gregory and his girlfriend dead. They both were lying naked on their backs in the bed, and each body showed signs of rigor mortis and blood pooling, indicating they'd been deceased for some time. Now, when police arrived and investigated, I mean, they reported finding a white powder substance on his nightstand, plus a straw and a plastic card, but no signs and evidence of foul play. And investigators were told by his cousin and Gregory's mother that Gregory and his girlfriend Natalie were both known to do harder drugs, such as cocaine and meth. But when the autopsy came back weeks later, it revealed that they both died from the effects of fentanyl and cocaine intoxication. And their deaths was ruled as accidental. It's just sad, man, because I know he was in the process of starting a chicken wing business, and he had called it the West Wings. And the idea behind it was dope because he created the flavors to his perfection and named them after West Coast rappers like Snoop Dogg and Kendrick Lamar, etc. He was only 30 years old, and his girlfriend Natalie was only 27 years old. Man, that's sad, man. It's crazy because, back in December, he posted on his Instagram that at one point he didn't think he would make it to see 30 years old. Now, in that post, he also said over the years, like everyone else, he has made mistakes along the way, but today is one of those days he only reflects on the great ones. And what a time to be alive, and happy dirty 30 self. Let's make the rest of these years your best. Sad, man. Fentanyl is wiping out everybody, man, especially the young people, man. It's a shame how this drug is taking over. They call fentanyl heroin's synthetic cousin because it's stronger and deadlier than heroin and up to 100 times more potent than morphine, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. And most drug users can't tell when their heroin is laced with fentanyl, because heroin and fentanyl look identical. Wow, man. That stuff is taking over the streets, man. Terrible story, man. Rest in peace to them, man. Let's get into another story, man. That's crazy. This one is about a football player named Zerlon Tipton. Now, see, Zerlon, right? Zerlon Tipton was a former running back and special teams player for the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, he didn't have a big career on the field, but his teammates say he was one of the most popular players in the locker room because he was always loud and acting crazy, always laughing, playing around and making jokes about anyone on the team. Now, on June 28th, 2016, he was shot and killed by his own gun. Now, the story goes, I see around 9:30 a.m., Zerlon had brought his Jeep into the Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealership to be serviced for a transmission leak in Michigan, in Roseville, Michigan. So when he pulled up in the service bay, right, he grabbed his bag that was in the passenger seat, and then he got out the car. He then went to the trunk, and witnesses say he was either putting something in the duffel bag or taking something out of the duffel bag. Whatever it was his personal belongings. But see, he had his guns also that were in that duffel bag. And when he grabbed the bag, one of the guns, which was a .45, somehow went off and it discharged, and the bullet hit him right in the stomach. Man. Now, about 6 witnesses were out there and they heard the shot and called police. And when they arrived, Zerlon was actually still talking, and he even told the police and the paramedics what had happened. And he was transported to the hospital in good condition. Now, they say he was alert and able to talk during the transport, but later on that afternoon, he died. And the autopsy came back and revealed his death was an accident. That's crazy, man. Sad, man. They say he was either getting something out of his duffel bag or putting something in the bag, and somehow his gun went off and killed him. Freak accident, man. He was only 26 years old. Rest in peace to that brother, man, Zerlon Tipton. Let's get into another crazy accidental demise story, man. Oh, this one is about the actor John Eric Hexham. Now, John Eric Hexham, right? He was an actor / model who was making his way to the top in Hollywood. He was in the TV series Voyagers on NBC, the TV movie called Making of a Male Model, and the TV series called Cover Up. But on October 12th, 1984, he died from a bizarre freak accident. Now, the story goes, now see, John Eric, right, at the time, he was filming a scene on his new television show, the CBS spy adventure called Cover Up, where he played Mac Harper, an undercover CIA agent posing as a male model. Now, on this day, they were filming the 7th episode of the series, which was titled Golden Opportunity, where he was supposed to be loading up a gun or something like that. So while on the set, now the scene he was shooting was taking too long because the producers just weren't satisfied with the way it came out, so it was a delay. And the delay was so long that he even took naps. He went to sleep. They had a bed, a room, whatever. The scene was so long, he took naps while they tried to get the scene right. But then they told him it was going to take longer, and the delay was extended. Frustrated and bored, he picked up the prop gun, which was a 44 Magnum pistol that was on the set, but it was loaded with blanks, and he started joking around with the gun. Now, close friends on the set, they always say he was a jokester, always playing around with guns. He used guns all the time on different shows he'd been on, everything. He was used to handling guns. Even his co-star on the show at the time, Jennifer O'Neill, had to tell him stop playing with guns around her because a couple years before, she had accidentally shot herself in the stomach with a .38 revolver at her house. But anyway, right now, John Eric, he thought he had unloaded all the cartridges out the gun, but come to find out, one blank round was still in there, and he didn't know it. Now let me say this though first, right? Now let me say this before I go any further, because the blanks they use in prop guns, in a blank cartridge, they use paper or plastic wadding to seal gunpowder into the cartridge. And this wadding is propelled from the barrel of the gun with enough force to cause injury. Now, if the weapon is fired within a few feet of the body, particularly in a vulnerable spot, in a soft spot, such as the temple or the eye, it can hurt you. At a close enough range, the effect of the powder gases is like a small explosion. Now, jokingly, right, John Eric said this to the other cast and crew members on the set after finding out that the delay was going to be longer. This is what they said. He said, "Can you believe this crap?" Then he started playing with the gun, spinning the barrel like a game of Russian roulette, and he puts the gun to his head and pulled the trigger. And when he pulled the trigger, the gun discharged a wad of paper that shattered his skull, forcing a bone fragment the size of a small coin into the center of his brain. Wow. They say it didn't penetrate his skull, but it was enough blunt force trauma to shatter a quarter-sized piece of his skull and propelled the pieces into his brain, causing massive hemorrhaging. Now, after that, he was rushed to the hospital, but on the way there, he lost several pints of blood, and he underwent 5 hours of surgery and was placed on life support, but 6 days later, he was declared brain dead. Man, his death was ruled accidental. Sad, man. Sad. Now, there were rumors of foul play because everybody on the set was saying he was playing Russian roulette with the gun, but nobody saw him do it. No one actually seen him put the gun to his head. But one guy named Frank Lowe, who worked on the set as a drapery installer and a prop master. He was a prop master. He said he saw John Eric loading and unloading a revolver while laying on the bed, and John Eric then closed his door, and that's when he said he heard a loud bang. That's when they found John Eric with a hole on the side of his temple, and instead of waiting for an ambulance, they said they took him to the hospital themselves. Because I told you on the way to the hospital, he lost a lot of blood, pints of blood. Now, after that, right, after his death, his mother, with her permission, they donated his organs. And, his heart was transplanted into a 36-year-old Las Vegas man. One of his eyes went to a 66-year-old man. The other eye went to a young girl. One of his kidneys went to a 5-year-old boy. And the other kidney went to a 43-year-old grandmother a 3 who had been waiting 8 years for a kidney, and his skin was donated and used to treat a 3-year-old boy who suffered from third-degree burns. Wow. Now, John Eric's mother did sue. She did sue 20th Century Fox Television and Glenn Larson Productions, and she received an unknown out-of-court settlement amount. John Eric Hexham was 26 years old. Man, that's sad, man. Rest in peace to that guy, man. Rest in peace to that brother, man. What's crazy is actor Alec Baldwin just did the same thing on a movie set, man. He fired a prop gun and ended up killing a cinematographer. And he shot the film's director too. So there's more details on that later on. So gotta be careful. Also, Brandon Lee. I'm gonna get back to the Brandon Lee story, break that all the way down. So stay tuned for that. But let's get to another story though. Now this one is let's get into Maya Leisha Naylor. Now, Maya Leisha Naylor was a 16-year-old English actress, singer, and model known for her roles as Fran in the CBBC sitcom Millie in Between, which was about two sisters whose parents had split up, and she also played Maya in the CBBC series Almost Never, which is about a fictional boy band and rival girl group called Girls Here First. And she also had a role in the 2012 movie Cloud Atlas as Myro alongside Halle Berry and Tom Hanks. And she was an up-and-coming rising star, man, 16 years old. But on April 7th, 2019, she was found dead, hanging in a marquee at her house. Now, the story goes, about a week before, right, her and her family had got into it because she wanted to go to a party. Plus, they wanted her to focus more on her schoolwork and exams, and they ended up putting her on punishment. But see, the main reason they grounded her was after they received a phone call from her school that her grades were slipping the day before, and she had left the house without permission the week before. So look, right? Now grounded, plus they took her phone away. They took her phone. So on this night, she was spending time that evening watching a cartoon movie with her family. And they say that this particular movie or cartoon included a scene of suicide. So the next day, around 7 a.m., her father said he got up for a run and he saw Maya come out from the bathroom, and he could tell she wasn't happy because she pushed past him with a very moody attitude. But here's the thing that concerned him. He said she was never moody. And about 2 hours later, that's when her mother discovered her in a marquee, hanging unconscious and suffering from cardiac arrest. And they called the paramedics, man. Now, when the medics arrived, they performed CPR, but despite repeat attempts at CPR, there were no positive signs of life, and she died 90 minutes later. What a shame. Terrible, man. Man, 5 months later, her autopsy came back, right? And the coroner said she had no alcohol or drugs in her system, and she died by hanging and fatal neck pressure, and they ruled her death. Now listen to this, right? They ruled her death by misadventure, concluding that she did not intend to end her own life. Now, what is death by misadventure? Death by misadventure is one that is primarily attributed to an accident that occurred due to a risk that was taken voluntarily. Basically, a person has died by accident either while doing something they should not have been doing or by taking risks that will put them in mortal danger. Now, her father did put out a statement saying Maya had not been her normal self and said she was stressed about her exams, and he honestly believed she was just making some sort of point. He genuinely believed she did not mean to do it. It was a silly spur of the moment thing because she clearly had plans for the future. He also said he had just seen her 2 hours before she was found and felt she had not intended to kill herself. Man, that's sad, man. Only 16 years old. Rest in peace. What a shame, man. And y'all stay tuned for more episodes.